My name's Aron Ralston.
This is an astounding true story of an ordinary man pushed to the limits. Ralston demonstrates the human capacity for the extraordinary. April 25, 2003. Aron Ralston traveled to southeastern Utah to explore Canyonlands National Park. He slept in his truck that night, and at 9:15 a.m. the next morning, a beautiful, sunny Saturday, he rode his bicycle 15 miles to Blue John Canyon, an 11-mile-long gorge that in some places measures just 3 feet wide. The 27-year-old locked his bike and walked toward the canyon's opening. At around 2:45 p.m., as he descended into the canyon, a giant rock above him slipped. The next thing he knew, his right arm was lodged between an 800-pound boulder and a canyon wall. Ralston was also trapped 100 feet below the desert surface and 20 miles away from the nearest paved road. To make matters worse, he hadn't told anyone about his climbing plans, and he didn't have any way to signal for help. He inventoried his provisions: 2 burritos, some candy bar crumbs, and a bottle of water. Ralston futilely tried chipping away at the boulder. Eventually, he ran out of water and was forced to drink his own urine. Early on, he considered cutting off his arm. He experimented with tourniquets and made superficial cuts to test his knive's sharpness. But he didn't know how he'd saw through his bone with his cheap multi-tool. Distraught and delirious, Aron Ralston resigned himself to his fate. He used his dull tools to carve his name into the canyon wall, along with his birth date, his presumed date of death, and the letters RIP. Then, he used a video camera to tape goodbyes to his family and try to sleep.
My parents are down on Larry Ralston of Englewood, Colorado.
That night, as he drifted in and out of consciousness, Aron Ralston dreamt of himself, with only half his right arm, playing with a child. Awaking, he believed the dream was a sign that he would survive and that he would have a family. More determined than ever, he threw himself into survival. The dream of a future family left Aron Ralston with an epiphany: he didn't have to cut through his bones. He could break them instead. Using the torque from his trapped arm, he managed to break his ulna and his radius. After his bones were disconnected, he fashioned a tourniquet from the tubing of his Camelback water bottle and cut off his circulation entirely. Then, he was able to use a cheap, dull, 2-inch knife to cut through his skin and muscle, and a pair of pliers to cut through his tendons. All the desires, joys, and euphorias of a future life came rushing into me, Ralston later said at a press conference. The entire process took an hour, during which Ralston lost 25% of his blood volume. High on adrenaline, Ralston climbed out of the slot canyon, rappelled down a 65-foot sheer cliff, and hiked 6 of the 8 miles back to his car, all while dehydrated, losing blood, and one-handed. Canyonlands officials had been alerted that Ralston was missing and had been searching the area by helicopter, which would have proved futile, as Ralston was trapped below the surface of the canyon. 4 hours after amputating his arm, Aron Ralston was rescued by medics. They believed that the timing could not have been more perfect. Had Ralston amputated his arm any sooner, he likely would have bled to death. Following Aron Ralston's rescue, his severed lower arm and hand were retrieved by park rangers from beneath the gigantic boulder. It took 13 rangers, a hydraulic jack, and a winch to remove the boulder, which might not have been possible with the rest of Ralston's body in there too. The arm was cremated and returned to Ralston. 6 months later, on his 28th birthday, he returned to the slot canyon and scattered the ashes there. Through it all, he was in good spirits. As for that dream of a full life that sparked his incredible escape, it came true. Aron Ralston is now a father of 2 who